Hi, it's Gab with the continuation of my 80s flashback weekend, mine and yours. I previously reviewed the Karate Kid remake, the classic 80s film, and now I'm reviewing the A-Team, the film adaptation of the classic 80s TV series. Early 80s, I was prime age to really get a kick out of this show. I loved it. I have fond memories of it. The theme music, the characters. It had some really outlandish action where nobody really got hurt, but it was gratuitous and fun, and humor, great one-liners, and of course the characters were great. So it seemed like an obvious choice for the studios in their unoriginal choices to try to make a film out of this. It had the action, the humor possibilities. So my main interest was in the casting because it's really about this team for their personas and their chemistry. So let's talk about the casting. Liam Neeson, of course, as Hannibal Smith. Some people thought this was an unusual choice, but he really fit the cigar. I really liked his interpretation. He had the sort of gruff, paternal role, leadership down pat. Maybe could have used a little more humor, but he had enough humor to him, and his physicality was there, and dug the salt and pepper hair going on there, and his plans came together. So what can I say? He definitely held the team together well. I liked it. Of course, Bradley Cooper as Face Peck. Again, happy with the casting. Maybe a bit more obvious casting, but that's okay. It worked. He has the face. He has the bod, as you've seen in the commercials. Fine with me. Looked good. And he had the slickness, and he had definitely the humor. Maybe a bit too much humor, crazy humor, which I thought was more Murdoch, should have been more Murdoch's territory. They made him a bit of a wackier wild card than I remembered the character being, but still a lot of fun. He really seemed to have fun with his role. Bringing us to Murdoch, that was my favorite back in the day from the show. I had a soft spot for a Mad Dog, and interesting choice in the casting here. Charlton Copley from District 9. Gab'n'dad viewers know District 9, my favorite movie of 2009. Not a comedy. I thought Charlton Copley was great in it, and he's great in this. He has comedic chops. He's believable as a crazy guy, but as a capable guy, and he had a lot of fun with the wacky and comedic elements. He had probably the best lines. He had used some different accents, including a South African accent, and just really enjoyable to watch. So I think that hopefully he'll get some more interesting roles in his future, because he seems to have quite a range and a lot to offer. And the fourth being, of course, the Mr. T, the BA role, filled by Rampage Jackson. Am I getting that right, people? I think he's a former UFC fighter, wrestler, something. I apologize, no offense, but I'm not familiar with that world of entertainment. And, I mean, he's a big black guy, so okay. Other than that, I was not particularly interested in his character. He didn't have quite the charisma I think that the Mr. T character did, although Mr. T was a bit more of a caricature. This guy had a bit more realism to him, I guess, but the writing and the portrayal was weak and didn't hold much interest for me. But as a foursome, strong team, and I mean, that's really what the A-Team comes down to, is the team. The rest of it, not so much. The story, the script was weak. It was all over the place. Now this may account for, apparently there were 11 different scriptwriters on this from beginning to end. Well, you could sort of tell if you wanted to think about it or overthink it. I mean, it was just all over the place. There were some great action sequences. Well, okay, pretty good, decent action sequences. The best probably having been given away in the promotional campaign. The tank scene that's in all the commercials is probably the best, the most original and thrilling one. Others were serviceable. The humor was sporadic and spotty. Sometimes it worked for a chuckle, and sometimes it felt like it was just trying too hard. And in between, not a lot of charisma, kind of flat. It was a long movie, and I just wasn't totally on board for this ride. The fun and the cohesiveness the spark just wasn't there for the entire package. There were moments when I almost felt it, when the team was really gelling and then the script was on its side, that it had that old feel to it. But otherwise, I'd have to say it was a disappointment. I was looking for dumb fun. I wasn't expecting much more, but I wanted to feel some of those warm old feelings that the show had for me. And ultimately, I just didn't. So in that sense, it was a disappointment. I wouldn't say it was a failure, but I'm definitely not dying for a sequel. Although there was a cameo toward the end that was a surprise to me, that is a certain person, one of my favorites. I don't want to ruin it, but his name rhymes with Sean Schmam. And if he was in the sequel, maybe I'd check it out. But otherwise, it barely held this one together, so I don't think there's enough to offer for a series of films here. But an okay effort. I'd give it a B effort. So there you go, the A-Team. End of my 80s weekend. I don't want to age myself, but the 80s meant a lot to me. That's when I fell in love with pop culture and film, so I'll always look back fondly as we look ahead on Gab and Dad. Thanks for watching.